What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it looks like today is finally going to be the last day of me playing catch up on this most recent update for Black Ops 4. I've been a little bit behind on a bunch of this news. I realize I'm not the first to be covering this kind of stuff, simply because I've been traveling for the past week, and I literally got my first gaming session on this update yesterday. So with that most recent update, I have covered all of the weapon balancing changes, that's in a separate video, but today I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on the rest of the update that we got earlier this week. So this is going to be my opinion on the contracts, Hacienda Twilight, and some of the Blackout changes that we saw. So first up, let's talk about contracts. Now that we've actually had them for a few days, I have been able to log in a couple days and at least check out the contracts, even though I didn't really have time to play every single day. And I kind of have mixed feelings on contracts. First off, I think contracts definitely should have been in the game from the beginning, or at least shortly after launch. It is far too late in the game's life cycle for something like this. But at the same time, I have actually been enjoying myself having some sort of a unique goal to work towards in-game. The contracts have been pushing me to try something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, or something that I just didn't really have any incentive to use before the contracts. And it is a really nice thing when you're in a game to have that extra goal on top of just winning the game and doing well for you to work towards. This is one of the reasons I've been pushing so hard for contracts for such a long time with this game, because it does add that extra layer to it that I find to be quite enjoyable. And based on my experience so far, I have really enjoyed that. However, there is still a massive issue in my opinion with the way that contracts are, and this is quite simply the rewards aren't rewarding. They're not worth it at all. Just having a look at my available standard contracts yesterday for multiplayer, every single one of them awarded 1000 XP. No reserve cases at all, just XP. At this stage in the game's lifecycle, I have literally no interest whatsoever in XP. I honestly couldn't even tell you off the top of my head what level I am in multiplayer. I don't care about reaching Prestige Master 1000 because that's simply not going to happen. And I honestly couldn't even tell you to the nearest 50 levels what level I am right now. It's not even a thought that crosses my mind. So XP to me is literally useless, and therefore I have no incentive to do these contracts aside from, like I said, having that unique sort of thing to work towards in a game. While it is fun to work towards a unique challenge, it's a lot less fun when there's really no reward attached to that. Reserve cases are pretty lackluster in the first place, so I think it is ridiculous that you don't get a reserve case for every single contract you complete. I don't know what they're scared of over there. If I get a reserve case, it's most likely just going to be a sticker or a duplicate or a face paint anyways. But at least with a reserve case, there's a chance it might give me something that I want. Whereas with XP, I know that's something I don't care about. So that's my initial impression of contracts so far. Definitely some potential there, but I feel like there needs to be some better rewards added here. XP just doesn't cut it at this stage in the game's life cycle. At launch, this extra 1000 XP per contract may have been enough, even though 1000 XP really isn't all that much. But this many months into the game, come on, like what am I gonna do with 1000 XP? I just don't care. As for the next thing relating to multiplayer from this most recent update, this is Hacienda Twilight. And this is, of course, a variant map, so this is Hacienda at night, although it is quite bright outside. I was actually surprised at how bright it was on the outside sections of Hacienda. However, it is extremely dark in the interior areas, and there are some very dark corners that you just can't see enemies sitting in, which I definitely find to be very frustrating. The outside areas, I think they handled very well with this map, and I'm totally on board for the lighting in those areas. It's just the indoor areas, there needs to be more light in my opinion. This is kind of a repeat of Arsenal Sandstorm, where in some areas of the map at least, it just feels like you're unnecessarily blinded, and it just takes away from the gameplay in my opinion. It doesn't add to the gameplay at all. One thing I really like though with this particular map is they've opened up a new section of one of the lanes, and I think this was a great addition, and I would actually love it if they would bring this over to the standard Hacienda map as well. So you can see right here behind the fireplace area, we have this extra little lane, which will allow us to close that distance if we're using a close quarters gun, so you're not stuck in that longer lane where the sniper rifles tend to be and the assault rifles, and they'll just sort of camp there. You have a way of kind of zipping around that, and in addition to that, you get this window that overlooks this side of the map, and this actually makes this entire lane of the map, this outdoor area here, it makes it a lot more viable because you can also jump up into the window from there, which just adds another excellent option when you're in that lane. This, in my opinion, plays much better than the standard Hacienda. When you're playing the standard Hacienda, you feel a little bit more locked in when you're within that lane. Yes, you can cut towards the middle of the map from down low, but generally you don't want to be going down low into the courtyard area because there are too many people that would be overlooking that. and therefore that kind of alienates that one side of the map. By having this window open and having the ability of jumping into that window, it suddenly opens that lane up a little bit more, and I feel like the map overall improves significantly with that open lane. Unfortunately though, the dark lighting in the indoor areas kind of kill it for me, and I really hope that there's some potential for them to maybe up the brightness a bit on the interior areas, and if they did that, I would actually prefer this map over the standard Hacienda. But with that for multiplayer, that's pretty much the only stuff I wanted to talk about, aside from the fact I just wanted to give my updated opinion here with the weapon balancing change, where they turned SMGs to hit scan. I use the SMGs a fair amount now, and I've got to say, they definitely feel better. It feels more consistent to use them. I feel much more comfortable in the mid to somewhat longer ranges with an SMG. Even though their time to kill still sucks, I find that I'm hitting shots a lot more consistently with them. And just in general, I feel like that was a great change, and I'm really glad they made that change over to hit scan for SMGs. But now let's move into Blackout and the Blackout changes that we got. So first off, we got medals in Blackout, which gives you more options to earn merits throughout a match, so I think that was a great addition. Pretty much exactly what we expected out of that, so no surprises there. Also, they added humiliations, which I think are great, although I'm just waiting to see what they do with the reserves and adding new humiliations in there. I hope they're not going to be tied to specific characters and they'll just be global humiliations that you get, but it is Treyarch we're talking about here, so we'll just have to wait and see what they end up doing with that. But right now, the standard humiliation where you stomp on their head, I think it's a cool addition. I mean, it's a fairly minor thing, but I like it. It's kind of cool to run up to somebody and stomp on their head like that, rather than just meleeing them or shooting them from a distance. I fully expect humiliations to be added into reserves soon, and I think that's totally fine. It's a cosmetic sort of a thing, and it's actually a high-value cosmetic sort of a thing. I would much rather get a brand new humiliation animation than a sticker or a face paint or a new outfit or something like that. So when it comes to humiliations, I'm actually quite happy with it so far. And this just brings us to the last thing I wanted to discuss in this video, and this is the blackjack stashes in Blackout. For those of you guys that aren't familiar with what these are yet, they are currently only in limited time modes, so they're not in the standard solos, duos, and quads, but they are in Alcatraz, and they are in Hot Pursuit, and presumably any other limited time mode that's coming in the future. Basically what they are is they're very rare stashes that you can find. They look like this, and when you open them up, they contain all of the post-launch weapons that you currently have on your account. So as you can see here, I've got like the Peacekeeper, for instance. That's one that I happen to get lucky and get out of a random reserve. But you'll notice in here, I don't have the S6 Stingray, I don't have the Locust, I don't have the Ballistic Knife, and that's because I don't have any of those weapons unlocked. If somebody else opened that stash and they had those weapons, then they would have access to them. And currently, this is the only way to get post-launch weapons in Blackout, with the exception of the Daemon and the SWAT, which were added into Blackout when they first came to the game. This is the only way you can get them in Blackout, and you can only get them in Blackout if you have them unlocked for multiplayer. So for my thoughts on this, it's definitely a slippery slope. In its current state, the fact that these are just in limited time modes and they're very rare, so likely just like one person per match is going to get them, realistically speaking, this probably isn't going to have that big of an impact on the game. At least based on my limited experience with it so far, it doesn't have a massive impact on the game. However, it does go directly against what Battle Royale is, and this is dangerous for the future of Blackout, in my opinion. One of the core elements of a Battle Royale game is everybody is on a level playing field. Yes, there's a lot of luck when it comes to finding loot, but everybody enters the match on a level playing field and everybody has the exact same opportunity as everybody else. Nobody has any inherent advantages by owning a certain gun in multiplayer, for instance. Everybody has the same opportunity to pick up every single piece of loot on the map. You don't have some loot that's locked for some people and unlocked for others, so you can pick this up, but they can't pick that up. Everybody enters the match equal. This blackjack stash throws that rule out the window completely. Now somebody can get a weapon that other people literally do not have access to, and that's absolutely the beginning of a major problem with this game. It might not seem like much now because, like I said, it probably isn't going to have that big of an impact on the outcome of a game, and currently it's only in limited time modes, but this is a slippery slope, and they could just be starting to test the waters on this, and I honestly feel it's only a matter of time before this starts entering the regular modes and becoming more and more pronounced throughout the game. This was a horrible step, in my opinion, for Blackout, and it sets a really bad precedent for the future of this game. So it looks like Treyarch is really doubling down on their weapons in reserves that they've added, and they're just taking it further and further and becoming more and more anti-consumer. I hate being negative like this in most of my videos where I'm talking about updates and stuff, but it simply can't be avoided. I want to be positive. I want to be excited for these updates, and I'm generally a very optimistic person, but they just keep screwing us over more and more, and the game seems to be getting worse and worse with every update. That's not to say that there aren't little silver linings and nice things that they add with the updates, but they're just completely overshadowed by all of this nonsense that they keep adding into this game, and it actually makes me really sad as a Call of Duty content creator, because I want this game to be the best it can be, and it has so much potential. It always has had so much potential in my opinion, but it's just being managed horribly. But with that, that's where we're going to leave this video. I'd like to know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts overall on this past week's update? What are your thoughts on the contracts, Hacienda Twilight, Humiliation, Medals and Blackout, as well as these Blackjack weapon stashes? Just let me know those thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.